Hi, I'm Emily Hazard.
And I'm Becca Anderson.
And this is Grey's Anatomy Uncut, a podcast where we discuss and analyze episodes of Grey's Anatomy. Today we are talking about Season 1, Episode 7, The Self-Destruct Button, which was originally sang by Dana Monteith? Don't know how to say it. Original air date, May 8th, 2005, written by Kip Koenig, directed by Darnell Martin, 18.86 million viewers.
I like how you looked up the pronunciation on that one guy's name.
Yeah, I'm proud of that. So anyway, I have the longest follow-up ever from last week. Becca will have to help me with this, so how about we read every other one?
Okay.
So the follow-up is... Well, first, this is not a spoiler-free podcast. I've said that before, but I figured that this might be somebody's first episode, so I might as well say it again.
Why?
Yeah, exactly. What's wrong with you? So, if you want to stay completely spoiler-free, please just bookmark this podcast and come back after watching maybe the first 3 seasons. But anyway, if you listened last week, I came up with this magic theory. And I did a little bit of research and started talking to Becca's sister, Katie, who is actually a psychology major, and she showed me something called OCEAN, which is an acronym for the 5 big personality traits, and that stands for openness, conscientiousness, extroversion, agreeableness, and neuroticism. And so I thought it would be fun to do a little bit of research and figure out what each of those means and then try to assign a character. Mm-hmm. One of the interns to each.
Yeah. So the first one's openness, which features characteristics such as imagination and insight. And people high in this trait also tend to have a broad range of interests. It sounds so freaking weird hearing it in my head.
The way you just said that was so weird. I don't even know how to describe it. It was like your voice was like vibrating. It was like...
People who are high in this trait tend to be more adventurous and creative, and not really afraid of change. So we decided, well, definitely we think this goes with Meredith because
the not afraid of change thing just stuck out to me. I was like, Meredith, yeah. Meredith.
But I also put down, I thought this kind of went with Izzy too, because I feel like out of all of the interns, she is the one with most imagination and insight, kind of that. So I thought that fit her too.
Yeah, I can see that. The only reason why I switched openness from Izzy to Meredith is because of I read another one. But yeah. So the next one is conscientiousness. People with high conscientiousness tend to be organized and mindful of details. Those who are high on conscientiousness on the continuum also tend to spend time preparing, finish important tasks right away, pay attention to details, and enjoy having a set schedule, which just screams Cristina to me.
Yeah, no, that one completely describes Cristina. The third is extroversion, which is characterized by excitability, sociability, talkativeness, assertiveness, and high amounts of emotional expressiveness. People who are high in extroversion are outgoing and tend to gain energy in social situations. People who are low in extroversion, so would be introverted, tend to be more reserved and have to expend energy in social settings. So this one definitely screams Izzy because I think she's the most outgoing person ever. But we also put down Alex because I feel like he thrives in social situations. You know, like when the interns are in the group, that's when he is just like, I'm Alex, I'm here. Like,
yeah, that's when he's the most Alex.
Yeah, because I feel like one-on-one you can lose some of Alex or something. I don't know. He just seems so much like they're in like a group and he's just always like, oh, Alex.
he like feeds on it, and not necessarily in a good way, because there are times later in the show when he is alone with just one other character and he's like a completely different person.
Yeah.
But yeah. So anyway, the next one is agreeableness. Agreeableness is characterized by trust, altruism, kindness, affection, and other pro-social behaviors. People who are high in agreeableness tend to be more cooperative, while those low in this trait tend to be more competitive and manipulative. People who are high in the trait of agreeableness tend to have a great deal of interest in other people, care about others, feel empathy and concern for other people, enjoy helping and contributing to the happiness of other people. Which, I mean, right at the end, I could only think of Izzy and George.
Yeah. This is them to a T. It's funny because you said those low in this trait tend to be more competitive and even manipulative.
Cristina.
And as soon as you said, I thought of Cristina.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's her low trait. And the last one is neuroticism, which is a trait characterized by sadness, moodiness, and emotional instability. Individuals who are high in this trait tend to experience mood swings, anxiety, irritability, and sadness. And then those low in this trait tend to be more stable and emotionally resilient. And again, I feel like this is the definition that someone looked at when they were like Meredith, because, well, and even Cristina in a way, like later in the show, they define themselves as dark and twisty. So it's like completely that. Whereas like the low in the trait, I thought like more Izzy.
Mm-hmm. But it's funny because I do find Meredith to be emotionally resilient in the sense that so much stuff has happened to her and she's still able to be a normal person. But yeah, when all the stuff before it, I was like, Meredith is so neurotic, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
In a charming way. But anyway, this shall be known as the Magic Ocean from now on.
Yeah. Anyways, back to the actual episode we're on, episode 7.
Is it 7? Yeah, it's 7.
Yeah.
Do you have an opening statement?
I think this episode is so interesting because you don't necessarily get as much character development, I feel like, from the patients. But it's also such a memorable episode. I mean, we have, like, transcripts of the episode, and I read through it before watching the episode, and there were parts of it where I could, like, see the episode in my head. Especially, I think the scene that I just remembered was the scene where George sees Derek, like, putting eye drops in his eyes, and I read that, and I just saw the scene, like, I saw George's facial expression, which is just really funny that I remembered all of this, and I feel like that just shows, one, how great of an episode this is, and how memorable it is. Memorable, whatever.
Yeah, I didn't exactly prepare an opening statement. This is the first time. I think it was because it was such a long follow-up. But they were just like, this episode, I got to the make one change at the end, and spoiler alert, it's nothing. It's almost a perfect episode. It's pretty much flawless. I mean, every patient I love, and every interaction between the main characters I love. I don't think you're going to hear me complain about anything in this episode, except maybe just like a joke, like making fun of Derek or something. But I don't think you're going to hear me say many bad things about this episode.
Or the one mother.
Oh my god. But I also, I mean, the editing and the shots in this episode, particularly, I just over and over and over again mentioned it. So
she does.
Let's just get back into it.
So, best moments.
And we both have 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so do you want to start?
My number 4 was kind of the almost dad scenes in this, when, like, the interactions between both George and Jamie and then Derek and Jamie, because I like how they take 2 really different characters in the sense of George and Derek, but they both behave, like, so well around this little girl and are so good with her. And I don't know, I really liked all of that. Yeah,
I have to agree with you. And now looking at my list, I really wish I had put something like that on it. But my number 4 is JP and Athena. They are amazing. I love them so much. The banter, the back and forth between them, and some of the lines that Athena says, it's classic.
Yeah. My number 3 was the same, except I included Izzy in that banner because I feel like she almost just increased. Like, I love her last line to Athena. Like, do you want some advice? And it's amazing. So that was my number 3.
Yeah, my number 3 was finding the big twist at the end. Yeah. Christina's pregnant. Whoa. A Burke baby. Which is kind of funny because they were showing George and Derek as fathers through the whole episode, and now Burke is an actual.
Oh. I didn't see that. Anyway. My second thing is kind of weird in the sense of, I wrote Alex, but it's the sense that we finally get a sense that he has emotions, you know? I feel like this is last episode with Annie, we kind of saw that, but I feel like they just kind of exaggerated it in this episode, and I love his one line, like, he was the first guy I met out here from back home, and you get that sense of, even though he talks really badly about his house, I feel like in some way it still means something to him. So that was kind of interesting. I don't know. I just liked that whole emotional Alex.
Well, and it was also like finally a little bit of backstory. We didn't even know where he came from or like anything about him, really.
Yeah, we literally just got the thing about his father with the junkie 2 episodes ago?
Yeah, episode 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so my number 2 is the scene where Digby dies.
And I like people dying, don't you?
I like when they make it beautiful in a writing standpoint. I mean, I will go on and on about this when we get to this part of the script. Yeah, I'm not even going to do it right now, but just that whole scene I find really beautiful.
So my number 1 was actually the same as Emily's.
Stop always spoiling my number 1s.
Maybe you should go first next time. But it's the ending scene between Izzy and Meredith and that cake. And I just love it because the whole scene, I was watching it and I was like, oh my god, this is a conversation that I would have with like my sister or something. And we don't get a lot of Meredith Izzy, like that really strong friendship because of Cristina. And so I just love you kind of get this of like Izzy's like, ooh, like you're falling for him, and then Meredith was like, I hate you and your cake. It's so good.
Yeah. So mine was the same thing as Becca just spoiled. And again, it's just because we never get those Izzy Meredith scenes, and I just crave them all the time in this show. And I love Meredith and Cristina, but something about Izzy and Meredith is so great. All these one-liners that she has, she's like, baked it chock full of love. Actually, chock full of unrelenting hate and hostility, but still tasty. And then Meredith is like, I hate you and your cake. And then she goes, my cake is good. And it's so good. We're going to talk for like 5 minutes when we get there. So let's just keep going.
So do you want to read the opening statement? Or?
Sure. Okay. Anyone who says you can sleep when you die, tell them to come talk to me after a few months as an intern. Of course, it's not just the job that keeps us up all night. I mean, if life's so hard already, why do we bring more trouble down on ourselves? What's with the need to hit the self-destruct button? It's a short one.
Yeah, it is.
So,
and you really don't get, like, it's really nothing deep.
Wish I by Jem starts playing.
And we see Meredith and McDreamy in bed together.
Mm-hmm. God, they destroyed this bedroom.
I know, she's like freaking looking for her alarm clock, and then she's like, oh, it's on the floor. And it's like, no, whose alarm clock is on the floor?
They destroyed this bedroom. Like, there are pillows everywhere. Like, the sheets aren't even on the bed right anymore. There's like a pillow. I think there's like a pillow between them. Derek is sleeping sideways on the bed. Like, what the heck happened? Oh, God.
You know what happened.
Well, I know.
And then I love, because she's kicking him out, which I feel like anytime we get this, like, super intimate romantic scene with them, it's Meredith kicking Derek out. Because it was the same, I mean, first episode, this is how it started, with her kicking him out, so that's just kind of funny.
And he's just like, why don't you just let them see me? And Meredith is like, no. And he's like, please. And she's like, no, get out. Like, that's basically what she wants to say. She's like, no.
And I love because she's trying so hard to make this a secret. She's like, you have to get out before they see you. And then it just cuts down to like Izzy and George in the kitchen, and they're both just like,
They're already awake.
They're like frickin' Meredith.
Yeah, but they don't know yet who it is. But they do. They've been up all night. So Izzy, the shot starts with Izzy just watching a coffee pot like seep. And
I like that shot.
Yeah, she's just like dying. She's like, oh my god, I need coffee. And George comes in. You get any sleep?
Oh, she could oil the bed springs as a courtesy, or at least buy a padded headboard.
And then George is like, who's the guy? I'm super jealous.
You think it was just one guy doing all that work? Which is like weird, ew.
Yeah, like Izzy, no. And
imagine if you saw the bedroom.
Yeah, you haven't seen the bedroom yet, Izzy. But we do know she likes to clean. What if Meredith just like was like, Izzy, clean my bedroom right now. Go. She was like throwing up.
Yay!
And George is like, I'm not jealous.
Which he totally is.
He's also wearing the t-shirt on top of long sleeve shirt combo that people used to wear when they were 7 in the 90s.
That's what Sheldon always wears in The Big Bang Theory.
Exactly.
Just thought that was a fun
fact. It just makes him
fact.
seem like a little Bambi. As always. I mean, also, his t-shirt says The Amazing Gusto, which led me down a rabbit hole of Googling what The Amazing Gusto could possibly be. And I ended up, like, on Gusto food menus. And I was like, what am I doing with my life?
And then Derek tries to sneak out. Fails. Desperately. And then I love Izzy. Well, at least we know brain surgery isn't his only skill.
It's like Derek didn't even try. Just like he wanted to be seen, right?
That was no,
right?
He did. And of course, like he's like the creak step. He's like, oh, I'll make sure I step on that one.
And then he looks back like 7 times, like, oh, they didn't see my face yet. Here, take another look.
Here I am. Like, I'm surprised he didn't just go in the kitchen. Like, hey, can I get a cup of coffee before I leave?
Breakfast is the most important meal of the day, according to Derek. Ugh.
LOL. And then I love George. They're like talking about how it happened. And George goes, maybe it just happened, spontaneously. Like, did they just run into each other naked last night? Like, he's like, maybe it happened spontaneously.
No,
like,
what he means is like spontaneous, like orgasms, is what he's saying. I that's what I got from that. Just like over and over and over again.
I got that, like, they're real, like, they just, like, met. I thought
That's even better.
I thought he was saying, like, they just, like, spontaneously met somewhere, and then we're like, what's it?
Well, that was Derek's plan, to make it look spontaneous while parking in that non-parking spot. No.
But the way he just, spontaneously last night, like, yes, George, Derek just walked in the house naked last night, ran into Meredith, who was also naked, and it just spontaneously happened.
He's such an idiot. And then Meredith comes in, and Izzy just, like, goes right in for it. She's just like, sounds like you're having some pretty radical sex last night, all night long. Who's the guy?
And I love how Meredith doesn't even bat an eye to that. Like, Izzy just completely called her out, and she's just like, no one you know.
Get it, Meredith.
Like, I would be like, oh my god, you heard?
And then we cut to the Seattle Grace parking lot, and Christina's parking her motorcycle, which we will never see again. We saw it once in the pilot, and we will never see it again.
Okay, I thought we had seen it before.
Mm-hmm, we have. And Meredith, yikes, wouldn't want to meet you in a dark alley. Cristina, right back at you. Which, what? And then Alex jogs up, which, 2 things. I'm pretty sure he's not ever seen exercising on this show ever again besides this episode. I might have to fact check that. But number 2, remember when Alex ran down the hallway last episode and he looked so weird?
Yes.
Can you imagine watching that for like a few miles?
No. Also, a third thing. He is wearing so many freaking clothes. Like, they get out of her car in, like, jeans and, like, a light jacket or something. So you're like, alright, maybe it's, like, 40s, 30s. He is wearing a full-on sweatsuit. And you're like, bro, like, where'd you grow up? Like, that's for, like, when it's 20 degrees outside. Like, it's definitely not that cold right now.
But you know those wrestlers also try to sweat? Like, try to, like, sweat their weight out. I don't know.
But that's only for when they have to meet weight cut. Like, they
Well,
could,
I
like,
know,
do it to, like, drop weight. Like,
But I've seen people run in, like,
weird.
full long sleeves, like, in the summer. And I think it's because they're trying to lose water weight, which is just dumb because you just drink it back.
Well, wrestlers do it because they'll do that before a weigh-in. So then they don't have the weight. So then when they weigh in, it gets them and then they just drink the water and it's fine.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, isn't really healthy, but whatever.
So then we find out that Cristina has professional weakness, aka the flu.
Great scene.
Cut to a different locker room, again.
And they all have different locker. Like, Meredith and Cristina are on, like, one wall, like, next to each other in high lockers. But then later, like, Christina's laying down, like, it's weird.
Yeah. What is this locker room? I swear. It's the room of requirement. Like, are Bailey's interns maybe assigned to a locker room that switches every day? Because that's what kind of Lizzie said. I want to know. I want to know this so bad.
I don't know. I don't know how hospitals work.
You were a bad boy last night, Meredith.
And then the creepiest thing, Alex just goes, don't apologize, embrace it, share it, count me in. And you're like, ew.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I think Alex feeds off this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, this is the only time he can actually relate to people. And then Izzy's like, yeah, just let me know if I need to go to a hotel to get some sleep.
Damn.
And you know what? I can't even be mad at Izzy. Like, she's kind of a bitch, but I love it so much.
I just like how she says it. She's like, yeah, next time, like, do a girl a favor and let her know.
And then George is just like, you were just a little loud, and then slams his locker and leaves. I was like, you know what? Go cry me a river, George. Just, like, put some headphones on, go to sleep.
Or go to a hotel with Izzy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Remember, like, however many episodes ago when he begged to move in?
Yeah.
Yeah. Shut up, George.
Anyway, so then Bailey gives them all their assignments. And then we have this scene of George watching Derek put eye drops in his eyes.
And you know that Derek went out and bought these eye drops just to milk it for all it was worth. Like, he's probably putting them in all the time, and all the nurses are like, ugh, this guy. So dramatic. He's like, oh, my eyes are burning. Feel bad for me.
He literally brings up how tired he is in almost every one of his scenes this episode.
I know.
And, like, Meredith is doing, like, all of Bailey's, like... Bailey just has like, tons of work to do. Never complaining. And you're like, who's the man in this relationship, Derek?
Who wears the pants? Meredith. He's like the guy that's like, ask me if I'm okay. And then you ask him and he's like, yeah, I'm fine.
I also love Bailey. Late night, Gray. No, caffeine just hasn't kicked in yet. And you're like, uh-huh.
And then Meredith gets her, assignment, which is insane. And there's this cool shot where they go all the way around Meredith in one solid shot. And, like, people are blurry in the background.
And Izzy is just standing there.
She's just chilling. Yeah. Also, Izzy's famous coffee mug that I want so much, but I can't find anywhere online. So, if anyone out there is listening and they see that coffee mug, maybe send me a link. Why are you still in front of me?
Bailey.
And then Ellen Pompeo just, like, jumps, and then she's like, sorry, and then leaves. It's so good.
And then I love those. The woman, help! I need immediate help! And they're like, oh my god, what? 911. And she's like, my damn boyfriend swallowed my keys.
Also, how did she get this far into the hospital before she found somebody? Like, she didn't even walk in the ER. She's, like, upstairs, like, on a post-op floor. And she's like, my boyfriend swallowed my keys. I walked past, like, 100 doctors, but I wanted to come here.
I don't know. Maybe they were, like, in the hospital for some reason? Because that's what kind of seemed like they were at the hospital for some reason, and then she was leaving, and then he was like, oh.
And he parked the car, so, like, I wonder what they were at the hospital for.
Yeah, so I almost wonder if they were there for, like, something her family, so he, like, dropped her off.
And he parked
her car in some outrageous place, and then she was like, I'm leaving you. And he was like, no, you don't. Gulp.
This guy. Oh, my God. So, Izzy is dispatched to find this lady's keys.
I love Bailey. Locate the lady's keys.
Yeah.
And Izzy's just like, and then I meet Claire.
I mean, this is just the store brand version of Bella Swan, right? Like, when you saw her, that's what you thought. Like, with her little sweater vests and everything. I was like, this is Bella Swan.
But, like, a redheaded version.
Like, the knockoff version of Bella Swan. She also looks like she has zero self-esteem. Probably because her mother eats it.
Later, I have, like, a paragraph later about this woman and how much she pisses me off.
Mrs. Rice is the worst.
But we'll get there later. Yeah, so the mom is horrible.
This mother rivals Zona. But like, she's better.
I was gonna say, but not in an annoying way. You just look at this woman and you are like, oh, like you are just, she's so horrible to her daughter and it's awful.
Yeah, I hate her so much. I mean, she's just the worst.
And her dad is the only one that cares. The mom is like, I don't want to spend my entire day here. Like, you're already wasting my time.
It's like, oh, right, I forgot. This is about you.
It's like,
my bad.
Like, your daughter was the one that passed out in the shower. Like, I think this isn't about you right now.
It's like, pick up on, like, one social cue, too. Your daughter clearly is hiding something. I mean, she's squirrely as shit right now. Yeah. She does not want to say anything.
Yeah. Not gonna lie, I still remember my first thought back when I first watched this episode whenever ago. I was 100% convinced that this girl was pregnant.
Well, I think that's what you're supposed to think, too. Right?
I don't know, because I was, like, she's acting all squirrely, and I was like, yep, she's pregnant. And I totally thought she went to Mexico to get, like, an illegal abortion or something.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense, yeah.
Like, I was just like, yep, that's what's gonna happen. Spoiler, it doesn't.
Yep. So we cut over to kind of, like, the lobby area of the hospital where Digby Owens.
He has a freaking appointment.
Yeah, he has an appointment.
He's like, I have an appointment.
And Alex is there, and
he's like, oh my god, you have a gunshot wound. And they're like, get him down to the pit. And this guy is just like, yeah, I do. Yeah.
I feel like he would be best friends with Hank.
But he's a better version of Hank.
He is. Oh my god, yeah. He's a way better version than Hank. But, like, where the hell did Cristina even come from? Did you notice that?
Yeah, no, she's now the Derek.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like she was just waiting around with, like, a wheelchair, like, oh, yeah, some really cool case will come in. And then Alex was like, oh, my God, that's a gunshot. And she was like, gunshot, yes.
I know, she had the wheelchair ready and everything.
And she just, like, sprints in, like, this is my time.
Oh, Christina's waiting around for scenes. Poor Cristina. Maybe she caught that from Derek.
It's not the flu that's spreading around the hospital.
Yeah, so anyway, they're just like, he's like, my buddy shot me. And Cristina, buddy? That's always so funny to me. And at the line, hell yeah. I mean, he wasn't trying to hurt me or nothing. At that line, if you look in the background, you can see a lady who literally has what would be like a normal setup for a cubicle in an office in the middle of the lobby. It's insane. It's awesome, though. Like, my own personal fan fiction about her is that she pissed off everyone like Ryan from The Office, and instead of making her work in a closet, they just moved her to the lobby. Like, to one of those, like, weight-bearing columns where you can just plug in your computer.
I can see, like, patients walking up to her in the lobby and being like, hey, I'm here to check in, or whatever, and her just being like, ugh, I run finances. Or, like, whatever.
And they're just like, like, why are you here?
Whatever the hell she does. And they're like, but you're in the lobby.
And then they move on to the elevator, and they're like, is that my doctor on the elevator door? What the heck is wrong with this hospital?
And then Derek just pops out of nowhere.
Hey, can I help you?
It looked like this scene was missing a doctor. Let me go put some eye drops in my eyes first, though.
Yeah, please ask me about it. Please.
By the way, I'm tired. They're like, is this whole place on drugs? Like, is this some person's, like, weird dream, like, world? Like, what the hell is happening?
Theory.
Oh.
Theory. It would be a weird dream world, right?
Maybe that's why the lady's sitting in the lobby. Maybe Meredith didn't know where to put her. She's, like, some important... Maybe it's the lawyer lady from the last episode, and Meredith was just like,
True.
I don't remember where she goes, so her office is gonna be in the lobby.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's clearly a theory. Huh. Anyway, so that's where we get the intro. And so they're treating Digby and Cristina. You could hang it in the Louvre.
Her face when she says it, because he's like, yeah, all my scars. And she's just like, I could care less about you. I couldn't care less about you and your weird body art.
Yeah.
She's like, I thought this was a freaking gunshot wound. Like, I thought you'd at least be surgery. Like, come on, man.
Yeah,
You're ruining.
Why couldn't you have shot yourself in the head?
Yeah. Or like
basically what she said.
Or like the chest or something. Like,
yeah, come on, man.
Can I crack your ribs just to look around in there for like fun?
Yeah. So anyway, Digby says that he's a wrestler from Iowa State, and Alex is like, Iowa, and they do this weird little like jazz hand thing, and he's like 141, Digby's like 157, and they do the little jazz hands next to each other.
I love Christy. Excuse me, but thinking of you men in tights makes me want to puke. And you're like, me too, Cristina.
It's like ditto, sister.
Like, yep. And then I love, there's a flu going around the hospital, and then Digby, somewhat ironic, which...
That was good.
It totally is.
I'll give him that one.
He said that, and I was like, yes. But
And then we cut over to Meredith examining Claire, and she's like, ow, don't push so hard. And I was just like, Meredith should just be like, don't tell me how to do my job. Like,
also, she clearly just told her where the problem is. She was like, ow, that really hurts. And Meredith is like, well, it's what'd you do? What'd you freaking do in Mexico that messed up your stomach? Like, it shouldn't hurt.
she barely even touches her, and she's like, don't push so hard.
Yeah, so we find out that she's had surgery recently.
She's got these two laparoscopic...
She's 4. I think they say it. I think
4?
she says later.
Okay. Yeah, scars on her abdomen and...
Ooh, fancy medical jargon.
My glutes. And, so
fantastic.
I actually have a discussion question. It's been a while, right?
God.
Grey's Anatomy always does a good job of connecting the patients back to important issues in the world. How do you feel about the point of view that we're getting on the body issue / body shame issue? Image / body shame issue?
I really like it because I feel like, at least in most cases of body shame issues, there is some external factor that's kind of driving their body shame. And whether that's, like a lot of times it can be like a mental illness or something but in this case, it's literally like her mother is driving this body shame issue. And I kind of like it. I don't know. It's just really interesting to me. Plus, you just see, because I feel like it's such a big problem. Like, I mean, later in this episode, they talk about the freshman 15, which I feel like no matter where you're going to school or something, like, everyone knows about the freshman 15. And I feel like no matter how much you're like, oh, yeah, like, I'm not worried about it. I feel like everyone is constantly like, oh, no, the freshman 15.
And it's normally applied to women, too.
Yes. Which is like, and you're looking at this girl, too, the whole time she's there, and you're like, she looks
skinny to me.
I was about to say, I said later, I was like, she could arguably gain a couple pounds and still be, like, in the healthy weight zone. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like, she's probably towards the, like, skinny end of the healthy weight zone. And her mother is acting like she's, like, this 400-pound, like, obese woman who, like, can't even walk to class anymore.
Her mother is pretending she's, like, Annie or something.
Yeah, like, good lord. And, like... whatever. We'll get back to the mother.
The mother. Oh my god. Still like her better than Zona. He's my Jorge.
Ew, no, Johnny good.
Go die.
And then we have this adorable scene. George is interacting with this young child, and it's so cute.
This little girl is so cute. She's like, my foot. And I was like, yeah, your foot. And you just want to, like, go through the screen and give her a hug.
And then I love Derek. George gives her his light, and she's just like flashing it all over the place, and he's like, yeah, point it here.
And she's like, show mommy and daddy. And he's like, yeah, okay.
It's so cute. And you're like, oh, George, you would be such a good dad.
Oh, and this little girl saying the last name Shepherd is reason enough for Derek to have children. Oh my gosh. It's so cute.
Yeah, but this whole scene, my heart was like, oh.
And then George has to ruin it. Doctor, is he any good, this Dr. Shepherd? At just about everything. And I was like, ugh.
Which, first off, TMI. Like,
yeah, what are they thinking?
Just about everything. They're probably like, oh, he's probably like a power weightlifter too, or whatever.
No, actually, you know what that kind of might sound like is, oh, George probably has a crush on Derek.
No, because he says it kind of like, ugh, it's just about everything. Like, it sounds like they're, like, competing, and George is like, damn it, he beats me at everything.
But there's also, like, a time and place to be petty, and this is not it. In front of your patient at your job.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, grow up, George. I assume the lady needs her keys to leave this guy's sorry ass behind. Is he? Yeah.
We're back with Bailey and Izzy. I don't know what this couple literally has no character development for Izzy or Bailey whatsoever, but I love them because of
It
the
is
line.
so awesome.
The two of you, like, I can just imagine these crazy people coming into, because I feel like hospitals, you always get those like crazies that come in with like some weird story, like.
Yep. So Bailey's just like, see one, do one, teach one. You've seen one, now it's time to do one. And Izzy goes, alone? Seriously? Thanks. I mean, the vote of confidence in my skills and all. I didn't think, well, anyone was noticing how hard I've been working.
Izzy, go.
Yeah.
I just love that scene. Plus, I also like because Izzy and George, you know, after seeing Shepard that morning, are like, oh, Shepard's favoring her and all this stuff. But then Bailey goes and gives Izzy, like, her own, like, she's like, you can go do this procedure by yourself. And so I feel like, and Izzy's like, oh my god, like, I'm so smart. And Bailey's like, I could care less. Get out of my sight.
Katherine Heigl is just so amazing at this kind of comedy. Where she, like that, at the end.
I know, it's just, her, like, she's like, Izzy, go. And then she's like, yeah, and, like, just, like, puts her head down and, like, walks away.
It seemed almost as if Izzy was just like, how long is she going to let me keep talking? She normally shuts me down by now. And so when she, like, says, Izzy, go, Izzy's just like, oh, yeah.
So we run into Meredith on the steps.
This is the longest scene ever. It's one shot.
It's one continuous scene. And again, Cristina just, like, comes down the stairs like, hey guys, I've been feeling sick lately. I wanted to bring my deathly looking body into this scene. She does.
Can you imagine what she smells like right now?
Cristina?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, because, like, when you're really sick, you give off, like, an odor.
The sick smell.
Yeah.
But you know what I mean? Like, you just look at her when she turns and walks away from Bailey and Meredith, and she literally looks like she's about to fall over and die.
She looks like death.
And you're like, ooh, like, you're treating people?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. But this scene, I mean, this shot, I don't want to, brush over it too fast. It is amazing. Because when you think about all the working parts in this one continuous shot, if one of the actors messed up, they would have to start over from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, they would have to bring Katherine Heigl back. They'd have to bring Ellen Pompeo back. And
Cristina.
Sandra Oh back.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like, it's like an operation. It's amazing.
Cool.
I love this director. Even Bailey says botched abortion.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think your first initial thought was when she says illegal surgery done in Mexico, like...
That just, I just think abortion right away.
Well, because that's, I feel like most minors, especially girls, like, what is the one procedure that they wouldn't want their parents to know about? An abortion.
Yeah. Especially that mother. My God. Can you imagine how badly she wanted to go to college? Her dad is such a pushover, and her mom is basically a monster, so...
Yeah, so then Bailey goes and gives Meredith another whole list of things to do right away.
Yeah, Meredith, she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna do this, because you know what? I'm gonna prove it.
Yeah, and then Christina's just standing in the hallway, like, she literally looks like she probably got down the stairs to that post and then was like, oh my god, I was gonna pass out, and is just leaning up against it, like...
And then that woman's just like, get away from my post. This is my cubicle.
This is my office.
Can you get out of my office, please?
And then Burke walks up and Christina's like, oh, yep, have to look busy.
And Burke's like, I didn't give it to you. It's all over the hospital. You should be in bed. Disease diagnosis and prescription from one man. That's amazing.
Because he tells her, he's like, I'll give you a ride home. And then she goes, this isn't going to make me go home. You go home.
And
he just goes, I feel fine. And then he checks his, like...
His glands. It's so funny.
Like, he's doubting it. It's so, like, he's like, wait, should I?
Burke is so, like, socially inept that it's just, like, these two are so funny together because they seem to both be horrible in social situations. So they just don't know how to read sarcasms.
I just love that. You go home, but I feel fine. And
he's like, yeah, but I feel fine.
And then he's like, wait, should I? No, okay, we're good.
And then he's just kind of confused for a few minutes and then he just walks away.
And then we have George walks up to Izzy. Have you seen Shepard? Not as up close as Meredith has.
Burn.
Which, first off, why was that, like, necessary?
Well, because that's Izzy.
She's like, just bitter.
No, but we see that over and over again in the show. Like, when she gets upset about something, she makes these snarky comments, which are hilarious later in the show because they totally take her side. You know what I'm talking about. But, yeah.
It's kind of bitchy.
It is, but it's Izzy, so I can't even be mad. Were you mad at her for this?
No. I mean, I was kind of like, I don't know. I feel like she held on to this for so long.
So
but
long,
I mean, it's
quote,
like an episode.
but it's one episode.
It's like a day.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just felt like a long time. Anyway.
But let's not go over this too fast. George, this program will make or break our careers. Some of us will make it through and some of us won't. And that decision depends entirely on recommendations from doctors like Shepard. There is a reason we don't sleep with the attendings. And George says, of course, takes Meredith's side like he always does. It's not her fault, okay? It's Shepard's. He's the attending. He should know better. He's taking advantage of her.
Which, like, technically, I get his point.
I get both their points, though, because honestly, I don't think that...
Well, yeah, Meredith isn't doing anything against her will, so...
Yeah. And you could, argue, that she's younger and he's, taking advantage of her in that way, but I don't know if you could really argue that.
No, not really. I mean, she was... last episode, she clearly was like, hey, Derek.
I mean, she made the advances after he stalked her for, 2 months. So I have my second discussion question. How would you feel about this if you were working in this hospital? Do you think the rules should be this strict?
I see it from both ends, because I understand what Izzy's saying and the fact that it can cause a lot of problems with, interns and recommendations and stuff. Plus, it also, I feel like, in some stances, I don't think Derek has been doing this as much, but I feel like you could definitely see in some instances where they would favor that. It's so that intern would get better surgeries and, that stuff. So, in turn, they would, look better. But I also see the point Meredith is she didn't plan for this to happen. She's not sleeping in with him for the sole intent of getting surgeries and getting those recommendations. We think I think she really is falling for him. And I mean, it's unfortunate. It's one of those things where you fall in love with someone almost at the wrong time or something.
Well, it's also this rule wouldn't be applied for these two, but you can't make an exception ever. Because they're OTP. Oh my god. But, you know what I mean? I can see it being abused by other couples who are just being casual and not really in love. You know what I mean? Yeah. I guess you could say them. Mm-hmm. So cut to the closest shot of Derek's face. Ever. Nobody needs to be this close. I don't even think Meredith has seen him this close. And oh my god. Derek should be worried about George, who is staring at him with a murderous look from the scrub room. He's just staring.
He looks so pissed. He's just I'm gonna murder you.
He's not even doing anything. He's just staring at him, cementing everyone's belief that George has a huge crush on Derek. I mean, he looks creepy. Yeah, he likes both of them. Let's threesome.
Ew.
That would be the most awkward and grossest threesome I've ever.
And then we have Dr. Taylor, who we now determine has been drinking bourbon. And also, for the fact, he's the anesthesiologist, right? Mm-hmm. He walks into this room literally at the exact moment that Derek goes, all right, let's close.
Yeah, I know. I noticed that too. I was just so he's either epically late or I guess... what?
I mean, I guess they need someone to, help bring the patient out of the anesthesia, but, wouldn't he have had to be there the whole time monitoring the patient? Where the hell excuse me, guys, I gotta go to a shot of bourbon.
Hey, Steph, can you put a shot of bourbon in my coffee?
I don't know. Just because he just, walks in, and no one even, the only thing George questions is he's oh, that smells weird. He's not even wait, Dr. Taylor, where the hell were you?
You missed the entire surgery. Thanks, Dr. Taylor. Thanks for nothing. So anyway, George says, Dr. Shepard, and Derek, mentions, oh, I gotta get some coffee.
Of course.
Of course, because he has to mention how tired he is.
So basically, George talks to him about Jamie, the little girl.
And he just says, we need new films. We need new CT films.
Oh, and then I love, because Derek is in the elevator, and he goes, thank you, and the door closes, and then George just says, with the weirdest facial expression, he's duck?
I mean, this rivals the morning, doesn't it? Yes. From last episode?
I was can you just imagine someone standing in the hallway, a little bit down from the elevator, hearing this whole thing, and then the doors close, you'd hear it close, and then him just going, duck, and being the hell is wrong with that intern?
What if the little glove man that he made, what if he was talking to him? What if his name is Doc? Hey, George, you should kill Derek.
So then Alex and Burke are looking at Digby's x-rays, and Burke realizes that he actually knows Digby from another... I'm assuming he had another gunshot wound that Burke healed.
Yeah, he says had himself shot again.
I love because he.
I love Digby though. Yeah. It's like he owns it.
Yeah, but I love Bailey because she like walks into the scene and Brooke's like, "Oh yeah, you remember this guy?" And she's just like, glad to see he's still stupid.
Classic.
And you're like, Bailey, love you.
And then it's another one of those. I didn't actually check to see if this one was all one shot, but Meredith enters the scene and looking for Bailey, and
because she has the girl's abdominal CTs,
yeah.
Claire's.
And they find out that she's
had gastric bypass, which is basically usually done for fat people.
Like morbidly obese people.
Yeah. Because it's supposed to help them lose weight. Because I think it's like supposed to...
It literally makes your stomach smaller so you're not as hungry.
Yeah. So it's an extreme like, I feel like they don't do it, you know what I mean? Like, it's...
Oh, yeah, they don't do it unless it's like a last resort. Because those gastric bypasses, you can't eat normally after it.
Yeah.
It's not like you go back to the way you were.
And it's not reversible. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, so... And, of course, and it's a bad one, too.
And then we cut over to Meredith, and she's talking to the Rices.
Yeah, she's telling the parents that Claire had this surgery. And her mother...
Well, first of all, Mr. Rice goes, Claire, she doesn't need to lose weight. Yeah, exactly. And then her mother's like, are you kidding? That whale? That hippopotamus?
It's like, this means the world for her. I could literally write novels on how much I hate this mother. Because first off, her daughter is a perfectly skinny, as I said before, like, arguably could probably gain weight and still be healthy. And she acts like... The mother acts like this girl is like some housebound like whale, like
she's like a beached whale.
Yeah, like she like acts like she's like 600 pounds and she hasn't left the couch in like a year. Like, no, this girl is perfectly normal, perfectly healthy probably. And then she's like, and then also
she's like, so typical. Take the easy way out. And I was just like, ugh. You know what? You need to like analyze my foot as it goes up your ass. Like, I'm just gonna.
First off, look, Mom, you need to look in the mirror for a second because you know you're skinny, but you're ugly. Like,
you look like a bird.
She does,
right?
With bangs, and like she's cranking on her daughter, and it's like, you could have some, you know, plastics fix that face of yours too, honey.
Good God. But you're sending the wrong message.
You know, and then she also, like, when she says, this means the world to her, I'm sorry, that is, like, a huge major flag. If anyone comes up to you, unless they're, like, this person, like, unless they're, like, oh, like, I want to eat healthier, so it's, like, I'm healthier, you know, like, in the sense of, like, lose weight. If someone just goes to you, like, oh, my God, losing weight means the world to me, I just love to... That, first off, red flag, there's a problem. But she's, like... She says it in such like this, like, oh yes, it means the world to her, like, thank the Lord. And you're like,
it means the world to the mother, not the daughter.
And you're like, yeah, it means the world to her because you brainwashed her into thinking she's fat, which she's nowhere near.
And then setting her up for failure. Like, this mother is constantly trying to one-up her own daughter.
Also, she says, like, she's like, oh, the easy way out. I'm sorry. Your daughter purchased a ticket to Mexico, went all the way to Mexico to have an illegal procedure done, came back, and is now having complications from that illegal procedure. How is that the easy way?
I don't know. This woman just needs a punch to the face.
Like, the easy way would be if she had a semi-decent mother.
Yeah, that would be easier.
Unlike Bird Brain.
And Bird Face.
McBird.
Oh my gosh. Oh, she's McBird. That was a deep cut.
Like, and that's Bailey. Finally, nothing about this is going to be easy. Like, thank you, Bailey, for pointing out the obvious. And her dad is completely like, and then he, like, her dad is completely logical. He's like, you know, she tries so hard, she gets good grades. Like, this girl got A's in college. Like, and she's still skinny. Like, I'm sorry. She's not like she's failing out of school and she's some obese, like, person. Like, this girl has a mental problem, which is her mother.
Yeah. Oh, her mother is mental and she's a problem. But, yeah. And Mrs. Rice, do the surgery. I told her to watch the Freshman 15. Don't eat junk, exercise. But when she came home Christmas, who had to go out and buy her a brand new pair of size 6?
Which, first off, I looked this up. Average size of a woman in America, 14 to 16. I'm sorry, like, I wear size 6.
Because she couldn't get into the ones I got her last summer. I was just like, oh my God, go drown yourself.
Also, who buys jeans in the middle of summer?
On a scale of 1 to Zona, this woman is pretty freaking close.
But it's like in a complete, like, she's not, like, Zona was just, like, insane and crazy. This woman is just evil.
Here's the thing, she's totally the evil stepmother, like from all the Disney movies.
Oh my god, yes.
But here's another thing, if we're comparing her to Zona here. Zona was just dumb and annoying. This woman is written in a better way. It's like, I feel like the whole point of her is that we're supposed to hate her. So the fact that we do hate her is
a good thing.
A good thing. Yeah, it's supposed to bring out this kind of, feeling in the audience. So I think that the writer did a phenomenal job with it. Yeah. It's not like I hate her on a writing point of view. I hate her as a character, which is okay.
Yeah, which is what you're supposed to. So then we cut over to Derek in Jamie's room, which, I'm sorry, George looks completely like, he still looks like he wants to murder Shepard. Like, can you imagine these parents are like sitting in there and they're like, Dr. Shepard, why does your intern want to murder you?
He's blowing into another glove. It's Doc. Yeah, I started taking screen caps during this
I love
episode, so if we just laugh randomly, it's because we see the screen caps. I'll post them when I post the episode, but yeah.
I love it. And Derek is so good with his child. It's amazing.
He's so good with this child.
It's so good. And then I just love, he was like, does MRI know we're coming? And George's like, you said CT. Now I'm saying MRI. Like, I honest to God think that Shepard knows that George saw him leave this way. Like, I think he has that feeling. And so he's just like, oh, you want to be an ass about it? I'm going to be an ass too.
But George is making Derek look so much better this episode.
He's just so
He's improving Derek so much. Mm-hmm. I mean, George is just, he's digging himself a hole this episode.
Yeah. Okay, so then she, like, has, like, a more severe seizure. They treat it, and then, Derek is so cute. Do you want to do your third discussion question?
How do you feel about Derek in the dad role for this scene? Do you think it was important to see him in this way at this point in the show?
Well, I love it because, as we've been saying, for the first 6 episodes, he acted so much of, like he is
the player.
Yeah, like, pursuing Meredith, like, we called him, like a douche or, like, an ass in, like, half of his scenes in the previous episode. And so I kind of love that this little girl is almost bringing out a different side of him, because you're like, oh, like, maybe he isn't the, like, you're like, oh, he's so sweet, and that little girl is so cute.
I also feel like if they had tried to do the dad role earlier in the show, it just would have seemed too soon. Mm-hmm. But I do think it's extremely important that they decided to do something like this to show that Derek is way deeper than he initially seemed.
Yeah. Well, and I feel like if they had done it earlier in the show, he would have just been like, oh, hey, Meredith, I have this cute little girl and my surgery. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could almost see that happening, whereas now he's
like,
just...
he played off.
Yeah. But anyway, so then we cut to Izzy preparing for her procedure. We have some freaking great dialogue.
I want to read this dialogue. So do you want to be JP or Athena?
I'll be Athena.
Okay.
Do you know how stupid you make me look?
I thought you would think this is funny.
Funny?
Romantic?
Like the therapist thing was funny and romantic?
That was funny.
No, that was sad. He called my therapist pretending to be his therapist to find out what I'd said about him.
It's a little passive-aggressive, huh, JP?
A little. He is the king of passive-aggressive, and he's manipulative and needy.
Well, that's just the trifecta. Izzy, classic. What do I win? What?
And then Izzy just, like, walks out, and she's like, ugh.
This guy. Like, everything about these 3 people interacting is what I love about Grey's Anatomy.
I mean, obviously these patients are completely for comedic purposes, because we learned, like, Izzy doesn't have any character growth in this, but they do such a good job.
They're also so necessary. Like, if Izzy had some deep moment every single episode, it would start getting heavy.
Yeah, I kind of like how...
It's a nice break.
Yeah. So then we cut to Digby, and he's meeting Burke. So obviously, like, they know each other.
We find out that Burke plays the trumpet.
And Digby's running a fever, but Alex says, oh, that's due to the extra stress on his body from the gunshot, which makes sense.
But there's also blood in his collapsed lung.
Yeah, because the impact of the bullet fractured a rib.
And so they have to do this thing where they get the blood out, and he goes...
First off, he says, "Oh, please." And he said that, and I was like, oh my god, the intern.
And then she's just like, she pops like around the corner. "How dare you? That's my line. You cannot take my line."
And I just love it because it's not like the like, "Oh, please," or however she says,
"Oh,
like,
please."
Because he's like, "Oh, please tell me I get to watch." And you're like, ooh.
And then like electric guitar starts playing, like da-na-na-na-na-na.
Whatever. It's just funny.
He's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
He's just a pleasure.
So then we come back to the devil woman.
The devil herself.
God. And she's just like, "Disbelief, Claire, just disbelief." And father finally was like, "I'm concerned."
Yeah.
Like, thank you for being the rational parent.
Hang on 1 second. Every scene that she enters, she's got this like sour grimace on her face. And it's kind of like the face that you would make if you hadn't pooped in like 3 weeks.
Or like she just like ate like 5 lemons or something.
Yeah. It literally looks like she's been like...
too.
She eats them whole. Like she's just like sucking down lemons or
Even
something.
the seeds.
Yeah. God.
That's what keeps me at this thin weight.
Yeah. Pure lemon juice. No, but like I wonder if this woman ever smiles.
Oh my god.
And this line, "Where did you even get the idea to do this?" And Claire's just like, "The internet." Like so fast. And it's like, in your face, Mr. Rice.
And then the freaking mom. "What are you eating and how much have you been working out?" I mean, most of the time when people hit their target weight, they have to work to stay there. And you're just like, ugh, I hate you so freaking much.
You just know that she's that annoying, like, mom that goes to the gym that's like, haha, I'm in really good shape, but I never admit it. You know what I mean? Like, she's the one that...
I feel like she's that peppy lady that just, like, walks on the treadmill and it's just like, "Oh, I'm working out so hard." And you're like, get off the effing treadmill unless you're running. Ugh.
"I ate 3 pistachios today, and so I really got to work this off."
"I had 1 extra lemon. Oh my god." Freaking... And then Claire, like, she's talking about how stressful college is, which is, like, valid. And her mom is just like, "How could you?"
Yeah, there's not enough time to exercise. Mrs. Rice looks downright offended when she says this.
She's like, "No time? What? What are you talking about?"
And she's just like, "I didn't want to worry about my diet so then I could focus more on my studies." And I was like, you pulled that right out of your ass.
She totally did. Like, she was just, like, her mom obviously was, like, so pissed off at the first one, so she was like, maybe I'll try again. Which, didn't work. And then her mother, "So you took yet another shortcut. Life doesn't work that way, Claire." And you're just like, ugh, Tina. Freaking Tina. Go jump off a bridge.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, you know who wants you here? No one. You know what I like about you? Nothing. Go away.
And then, because her husband is literally like, "Tina," and then she's like, "What? You want to argue this?" And it's like, yes, everyone in the freaking room wants to argue with you because you're crazy. Like, send her up to psych.
I got a screen cap of her where she looks like a bird.
She does. Like, picking for her lemons. Probably eats a worm, too. That's her protein.
Well, you know what? She's not eating any protein, which is probably why she hasn't pooped in 3 weeks.
So then basically they say, "Claire, you're getting the surgery." And she's like, "No, I'd rather be thin," which, no, you wouldn't. Like, I'm pretty sure that thing is going to, like, kill you soon. And, like, you're already in, like, a ton of pain from it.
It's like, trust me, you're going to be thin after this surgery because you'll never eat right again.
Yeah. And then this is, "Well, I'm afraid the choice isn't up to you." And you're like, ugh.
It isn't up to me when my poop finally decides to exit my body either. Derek, talking medical.
Which is so cool. So basically half of this little girl's brain is dead or dying, which is, like, she has to have a hemispherectomy. Like, I've taken a couple, like, I'm not even a medical person. I've taken a few psych classes and we talked about these things. And when this little girl had to have it, I was like, oh my god, that is so awesome. I mean,
why was it?
Well, it's just this major surgery. And the fact is, like, it's just so cool that a person can literally live and survive and be completely normal with only half of their brain.
Yeah, that is really cool.
And it's just,
I feel like Zona only has half a brain.
You know what I mean? And, like, their parents are like, "Oh my gosh, will she be normal?" And Derek is like, yeah, like, her neurons will, like...
It's the spinal fluid will fill in the rest of the, like, empty area. And she'll have a relatively normal life.
Yeah, which, like, it's just really cool. So I thought that was a really awesome surgery.
So anyway, we cut to Cristina standing in the hallway eating a cookie and looking just like... She looks at this cookie like she looks at, like...
She, like, nibbles on it and is just like, ugh.
Like, ugh.
Disgusted with it.
I've made a huge mistake. I love it when they like make them do like physical things with like they make them act with the cookie or make them or like the physical like of Cristina has to appear down the stairs and then move on out of the scene. I love like when shots are really physical and people aren't just standing still and stuff.
Or like it seems like it's an actual like moving hospital
with moving parts and yeah.
I love George just like comes up and is like, I got a cool surgery. I gotta go rub it in Yang's face.
Yeah, and you'll notice that Dr. Taylor walks by.
Yeah.
During this, it's just like it seems like it's moving.
It's normal. And then he freaking ruins it. Almost makes it hard to hate him. Cristina, why do you hate him? Oh, no reason. And Cristina's like, yep, you know.
Because him and Meredith? You know?
And then I love, when are you gonna figure out that I know everything?
And then Izzy shows up, you know.
Normally.
Also, did Cristina just buy something out of the vending machine and then throw it away immediately? It looks like that's what she did.
Or did she throw away the cookie?
No, she threw away like a package.
Oh.
I don't know. Whatever.
I don't know. I didn't watch that. I thought she threw away the cookie because she was like, disgusting, I need something else. Because I thought she was eating something in the next scene, but...
Oh, you're a gossip, huh? I am not. I am.
I know. Like, she's just like, yep, I am. Tell me all the gossip.
Yeah, like Cristina...
I'm Izzy.
And then George, I just don't like how George always, it's like, no matter what, Meredith was always in the right and Derek was always in the wrong. I was like, you realize that Meredith and Derek did the exact same thing last night, right?
I just like, he's about to go into major brain surgery on no sleep, not very responsible. And you're like, ugh, grow a pair, George.
And I was just like, Meredith has been treating patients all day.
Like, cry a river, build a bridge, and get over it. And thank you, like, Cristina, like, kind of like, why should you care how she unwinds? I mean, you like to bake all night. Some people like to drive. Freaking love.
Some people like to drink, others like an occasional screaming orgasm.
And then Alex is like, yeah, we do. Just walks in, and then he's like, forget I said that. That was awkward.
He's like, forget I said that. Pretend I'm not here. Continue.
And then just, like, picks up something and just starts eating it. And then you're like, isn't that woman at the coffee cart like,
It's a man, actually.
Oh, whatever. I didn't see that. But they're like, you gonna pay for that, bro? Like,
yeah, like, he's that guy.
He literally just, like, walks up, just grabs something, and just, like...
starts eating it. Like, what is that, too? Was that, like, a cream donut? I don't even know.
It looks really good.
And he goes to Cristina. You look like you need to be spoon-fed.
I love Cristina. You look like Alex.
That was so good.
Which, it sounds like such a stupid comeback, but just the way she says it and the look on her face.
Sandra,
you look like
she says
Alex.
These things. Yeah, and so...
and then freaking George... Talk about the most awkward, like, transition ever. Yeah, talking about drinking.
Yeah, like, George is like, can we steer the conversation back to me now? No. And Izzy's eating something called nacho niffies.
Or something, yeah.
I thought it said that. I couldn't get a good shot
I also
of it.
love, because there's a part in this scene where it's like, the camera's on Izzy, and she offers it to Cristina, and Cristina just looks like... I'm gonna puke in that bag if you give it to me.
Yeah, exactly. It's like one of those airplane bags that she throws up in.
Because, like, Izzy's just like, want some? And Cristina just looks at her like, if you give that to me, I will throw up in it.
I feel like scenes between Cristina and Izzy are very similar in their, like, how intriguing they are as between Izzy and Meredith.
Yeah. So yeah, then George confesses that he thinks Dr. Taylor drinks at work.
And none of them really care, which I kind of understand. Like,
I, like, understand them not wanting, because I feel like especially as interns, they're like, we don't want to step out of our place
at all,
which, like, I get, but I'm also like, I love how George just feels so morally obligated. Like, I feel like we just get the real sense of George because he's like, his patients trust that, and so, like, I don't know, I really like that.
Yeah, I mean, I do like how George has this moral, dilemma, because I feel like I am similar to George in that way. Like, if I found something like that, I would have to say something.
Yeah.
And so I have this question. We get these kind of things, these storylines a lot on, like, cop shows. Like, the classic, like, you've been a cop for 2 minutes and you have the audacity to question a superior, But this is kind of a different angle because this is coming from the medical field. So how do you feel about it in that way? Do you think it changes anything, or do you think it's basically the same storyline? It's just...
Well, I think it makes it more interesting because, as George blatantly says, like, his patient, like, their lives could really, like, depend on him doing his job, right? In the sense, I mean, like, yeah, he's only an anesthesiologist, but, like, if they don't do their job right and the patient wakes up in the middle of, like, some major surgery or something, like...
And moves slightly or something.
Yeah, like, so I feel like you do get more of it's, like, like, yeah, it sucks, but, like, this could mean life or death to the patient, morally.
In a cop show, it's not like a direct connection, because normally when
It's usually like bad cops
normally
or something.
in a cop show, it's like a dirty cop who's selling drugs or something, which isn't a direct connection to one person that's going to die. But when it comes to an anesthesiologist, it's like, if you don't do your job, this patient is like very highly likely to die.
It's very vulnerable.
Yes, exactly. So I think it does offer something different.
Yeah.
Alex, it's a can of worms, George. Weren't we talking about sex anyway?
And they're all just like, ugh, and leave.
And Izzy literally goes, ew.
So then we get back to Digby and Burke. Alex randomly, where the hell? He like pulls out this Polaroid camera from who the hell knows
It
where.
actually comes back, though.
Oh, it does?
Later in season 3.
Oh. But he literally just like pulls it out and he's
Continuity.
like, take a picture.
Yeah, where did he get this? From like 1950?
I don't know.
Like, he's like, check out my Polaroid camera.
So they're like they're draining his lung.
The Matt in Belltown. I want to look up where Belltown is.
So then we cut to Bailey and Meredith operating on Claire, which is, I mean, her bowel is just like completely full of gunk and it's horrible. And I love, because I feel like up until this moment, like especially like at least how I was watching it, I was like, oh wow, finally a patient that doesn't relate back to Alice Gray. Like, that's interesting. And then Meredith says this line: she wants her mother's approval. She wanted to please her. And then all of a sudden you're like, holy crap, even this does like go back
It's
to Alice
genius.
Gray.
I don't know how the writers every episode can come up with a completely new patient that still comes back to Alice Gray. Update: Belltown is actually really close to the Space Needle. Like, when I went to Seattle, I stayed and walked probably right past or through Belltown. So cool.
Yeah. So back to Meredith and Bailey.
I just love how they come up with multiple ways over and over to connect it back to Ellis, which gets back to what I was saying a few episodes ago, which the core motivation for Meredith is always going to be her mother. Mm-hmm. It's just, that's where, if you cut every other layer away, that is what you get to.
And then we finally get back, Meredith kind of finally, like, says to Bailey, like, I'll do whatever you want to do, or whatever, and finally it gets on the subject of, like, I know you have hoops for me to jump through, but I'm going to jump through all of them because... And I just kind of love that, because Meredith is just like, you know what, throw whatever you want my way, I'm going to handle it.
Exactly. She owns it.
Yeah.
Which I feel like actually might earn some respect from Bailey.
I love that, and I freaking love this timing. So whatever else you got, bring it on. And then the bowel just bursts all over Meredith.
Yeah.
And Bailey is just like, I didn't plan that, but that was pretty good.
It's so good. Ellen is really good with these, like, comedic one-liners, too. Now my day is perfect.
So then we cut to Jamie getting ready for her surgery. Oh, and look, here comes Derek Scrappy. Comes in. The nurse brings in.
Oh, I love you, seriously.
And you're like, ugh.
You know this nurse is like, ugh.
Also, because then Dr. Taylor is, like, in this scene, and he freaking, like, he's just like, George, and is, like, breathing on him, and you're like...
he's just like, coffee, where would medicine be without it, huh?
And you're like, do you want him to smell the alcohol in your breath? But yeah, no, he, like, just blatantly breathes on George's face. Is weird. It's just weird. I don't understand that. And then he's just like, yep, I got my crossword. And you're like, ew. And then finally I love...
Is he the kind of guy that does crossword puzzles in pen? Is he that much of a pretentious douchebag?
And then I freaking love, because finally George calls him out and, like, says something. Because I feel like up until now, you see George as this very innocent, kind of, like, shy person. Because I feel like normally you would be like, oh, George would never, like, this would be Cristina or someone calling him out. And so I just kind of love that he does it, because it's just like a whole different side of George.
Well, he sees this little girl, and I don't think it was a mistake that it was the little girl.
It was the little girl, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I think that's another side of George you get, is how, like, I think we always think of when people getting too into their patients or, like, involved, like, personally with their patients, you always immediately think of Izzy. But I feel like George does too, in a way. But I feel like it's in a different way. Like, for this little girl, he feels so morally obligated to be like, I want everyone to be on their, like, A game and, like, do, like, so it's almost like a different kind of, like, personal investment that he puts in his patients.
Yeah, and then he delivers this double meaning line. There are rules. There are rules for a reason. There's a 2-year-old girl on this table. You shouldn't take advantage of someone else's
vulnerability.
Yeah.
And then Derek kicks him out, of course. He's like, you're out, George. And then I like how Derek, I feel like you get the sense that Derek is like, he almost thinks that George is right, because then he goes, "You damn well better be ready, Taylor." Mm-hmm. And I kind of like, I feel like in that moment that Derek, he has a feeling that George was right, but he's just like, "I'm gonna trust you on this one, Taylor."
He does get feelings. We know that. And then we cut, like, in for some much-needed comic relief.
my
So do
God.
you want to be Athena again?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. Do you really seriously want to know why I'm leaving? Seriously? How about when you started insisting that I quit my job right when I started to make more money than you? That should have been the last straw. No. The last straw should have been when I found out that the mysterious phone calls that you've been getting, that you kept denying were from other women, were really coming from your mother. This isn't healthy.
Just hold still, please.
Don't you dare try to patch this up.
Could you both just please stop?
You don't love me, JP. You love to smother me. And if I could just get you to admit that, then I could leave you with an ounce of respect.
Athena, I'd let you stay in here to calm him. So if you're just gonna keep...
Check that. I can't respect a man desperate enough to swallow my exit strategy. That is the last straw.
Michelle, can you get her out of here?
Fine.
And then JP starts choking.
What?
And then
What? What's happening? The keys move further down, and I just laugh. Oh my god, what does that mean? What did you do? Don't you dare die, JP.
Which is so funny. I don't know. Like, she's such a psycho. Like, she's clearly she's crazy. She's bad
And then I
shit.
love later, like, Izzy gets the keys out, and she just goes, You did that on purpose, didn't you? And he's just like,
Never gonna find where I parked it.
Yeah, and then Izzy, finally, can I offer you some advice? Get in your car and go. For all of our sakes. And you're like,
The facial expressions that Katherine Heigl does in this episode are amazing.
Yeah.
She's like a facial gymnast. Would have been awesome if, like, Izzy dropped the keys back down JP's throat.
That'd been so gross.
Okay.
So then Meredith Meredith and Bailey are walking through the hall. I love this, like, little banter between them.
Yeah, you're right, because it seems like actual banter.
I almost feel like what Meredith said in the OR gained some respect from Bailey.
It did.
Like, I feel like this scene just shows it.
Yeah, because it's kind of like, it's almost friendly banter.
Yeah.
When Bailey's just like, I'm not going to let you shower before you go talk to the parents.
That would be a hoop, would it not?
And then it would qualify. She says it with, like, this charming little smile. And then Bailey's like, okay, shower first. And it's
so
kind of
cute.
like, whoa, hang on.
Yeah, I kind of like that. And so then Meredith walks into the locker room, and Izzy and Cristina are inside. And, of course, they're like, ew, Meredith, you stink.
Can you imagine what she smells like?
Probably awful. And then Izzy just keeps saying karma. So then we Izzy finally says that she knows that Dr. Shepard was sleeping with Meredith. I also love, because Bailey walks in and is like, oh, Dr. Shepard needs an intern. And immediately Cristina is like, I got this. And Bailey's like, oh, no. And Izzy, like, doesn't say it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, she acts so pissed when Bailey's like, oh, Gray. But, like, Izzy didn't say, like, oh, hey.
Yeah, she didn't even offer, like, a hand.
So I was kind of like, all right, Izzy, like, it's kind of your fault.
What's your problem? You. Because apparently you can help Dr. McDreamy in ways the rest of us can't.
Oh, damn.
I don't know. Like, I felt that was kind of bitchy, but I can also see both sides of this.
Yeah. I mean, you totally get it. And then I love, because Cristina and Izzy leave, and then Bailey, apparently I'm not the only one with hoops.
Mm-hmm. And then
she says it so, like, happy, too. She's just like,
Yeah, but it's almost like banter again.
Yeah.
It's great.
She's like, eh.
So Downtown by Tegan and Sarah starts playing. I like that song. I don't think I have it on my phone, but I do like that song.
So then we find out that Digby is not doing well. There's a severe spike in his white blood count, which is weird.
Whatever. He's not doing well for
whatever
reasons.
Then Derek so they're back in the OR. I like the scene because Christina's in the OR with Jamie, and I love when she just looks up to George watching from the gallery, and then I like how she just, like, looks over at Taylor.
Yeah, because remember, she heard that.
She knows.
Yeah, she knows why.
Yeah.
And George is watching. I mean, he doesn't look as creepy, but he's still kind of just standing there watching.
Yeah. So then we get back to Meredith talking to Claire's parents, telling her, you know, they were able to reverse the gastric bypass, but because of the short gut syndrome, she'll never eat normally again. And I love the dad, he's like, first like, okay, like, how do we help her? And all of this stuff.
And then the mom, Bird Lady, says, great, as if we already don't have our hands full with her.
Like, ugh. Again, go jump off a bridge.
It's like, go get an enema so you, like, your mood improves.
And then Meredith, like, sticks up for the girl And then I just hate this. If you somehow think I'm responsible for this, honey, everyone knows that you're the problem. Like, you were the one that caused this. Like, yeah, you didn't tell your daughter to go get an illegal surgery in Mexico, but, like, you basically kind of planted the thought in her head.
You pushed her. No, it's not even that she planted the thought. It's that, like...
She pushed her so much.
She pushed her to the edge, and it's like if you take responsibility for pushing her to the edge, then you have to take responsibility for her falling, too.
Yeah.
Like, ugh, whatever. And so Meredith says, I think Claire is killing herself to please you. And then she says, oh, please.
I know. She does.
And then, oh, please, just, like... comes out from like a bush in the lobby, and she's just like, that's my line.
Just like beats the mother senseless. Want to do your fifth question?
No, I want to read this. So
oh please, you have no idea what's going on in that girl's mind.
You're her mother. She worships the ground you walk on. She didn't do this for herself.
Yeah.
And that line always sticks out to me. After a line like that from Meredith, you have to wonder what Meredith has done in her past to please her own mother. I wonder if becoming a surgeon was to please her mother. In episode 1, she told George that her mother told her she'd never make it as a surgeon. What do you think about all of that?
See, from that line, I almost feel like she became a surgeon to, like, spite, like, to prove her mother wrong. Because I feel like almost at that point, like, when her mother was like, oh, you'll never make it, she was just like, watch me.
In the same way that she's trying to prove Bailey wrong.
Yeah.
She's very competitive. It's just, it's hidden compared to Cristina.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's subtle. More subtle than Cristina. And finally, then after that, the father tells Tina to freaking shut up, which, thank God, Lord.
Another thing about what Meredith said, though, is that Grey's Anatomy, the writers are just so amazing that they can take this huge idea, like abstract idea or like huge storyline, and boil it down to one or two sentences that just sums it up perfectly. And it's like, how did you even do that? Like, that sounds so good.
Yeah.
You couldn't have said it better than that.
So then we go into Digby's room, and we find out that he has this, like, extremely infected tattoo of a spider on his calf, which looks disgusting.
Yeah, like, what?
First off, and he was like, like, it was nothing. Like, I'm sorry, that was disgusting.
I was like, well, first of all, the tattoo itself is disgusting.
Yeah.
It's like, ugh, you wasted money on that. And second of all, I mean, that thing is jank.
So they're taking him up to the ICU to get started on
Olivia!
antibiotics. Yeah, Olivia's in the scene. Woo! It's the beginning of her. So then we cut back to the OR where Jamie is. And Derek's performing the surgery, and then she, like, starts almost, like, blinking, or, like, her, like, eyes start, you know how, like, when people start waking up and they kind of, like, twitch their eyes? Like, that's what she's doing. And so he finally is like, oh, like, Taylor, her anesthesia's awfully light, which, Taylor doesn't respond to. And finally, like, he's like, come on, Taylor, she's waking up. And then I love Cristina, he's asleep. Just the way she says that.
And he's like, Taylor! Commercial break, come back. Dr. Taylor!
And then I love you. Oh God, sorry, I'm on it. My bad, Shep. And Derek is just like, you ass. He was right, wasn't he?
I thought you were my brother, Anakin.
Basically, yeah. I love this. And Dr. Taylor's like, yeah, whatever. Give me some coffee, Steph.
It's like, Steph, why don't you take that coffee and throw it in his face?
With some Parmesan cheese.
Yeah. And here's some Parmesan cheese.
And then he's like, yeah, I'm fine. And then Derek is like, get out. Which, thank the Lord.
And then Derek orders Steph around, which I would like to meet Steph.
Yeah.
I feel like she gets the job done.
Yeah, she seems like a good nurse. So we have Suitcase by Joe Purdy.
Purdy, yeah. And Burke is running through the hallway. Alex is working on Digby.
Yeah.
And, he's in multi-system organ failure. I mean, he's just, going into sepsis. And
it's bad.
And they're saying, like, a ton of medical jarg.
And then his pulse goes.
And this is honestly probably my favorite scene from the episode. I wouldn't put this in best... Well, it's my second best moment. I wouldn't say it's my favorite moment, but this has got to be my favorite scene. Because it's another one of those long shots without any cuts. But the slow fade of the dialogue and the talking, and even the chaos of things moving around in the hospital, it slowly fades away just into Joe Purdy. And you just notice the stark difference between the chaos of the medicine and then the soothing melody of the song. It's so good. Like, if they had replaced this with, like, weird techno music...
It would have been, yeah.
It would have just changed everything about this scene.
So then we cut back to the OR with Derek and
Cristina.
Again, they kind of have, like, medical jarb. He, like, finishes, then he's like, you two, close up. And I like the line from Cristina, that was unreal. I mean, that's all there is. I was feeling sick until I came here, and I just... I like that because, like, it just shows how passionate she is about it and how amazing that whole thing is to her, and it's really cool.
And of course, Derek is like, I'm gonna go to bed.
Yeah.
Gotta mention it.
So then Derek goes and meets back up with George, basically apologizes.
Well, he says, I was tired, now I'm tired again. Back to reality. Gotcha.
Yeah, so he apologizes to George. And then I love he's, like, shaking his hand, and he's just like, you saw me leave the house this morning, didn't you? Which George tries to lie, but, like, he's like, oh, was that you? And you're like, George, everyone knows you know. Like, good.
And Derek just throws his hand away, like, yeah, you deserve it. And Derek's, I'm not using her, and I don't favor her. He's, like, trying to, like, bro down. He's got his, like, chest pushed out, and it's like Derek is like, well, I've already won, so, you know.
So we cut back Meredith and Claire.
And I like the line, so I won't get fat, and Meredith kind of hesitates, and she's just like, no, you won't. Like, and not strictly medically, but she's just saying, no, you won't get fat, sweetie. Like, you know?
Yeah. And then I also, because she called social services to talk to her parents, and I just love Meredith. You don't know this yet, but life isn't supposed to be like this. It's not supposed to be this hard. Yeah. It's just, I like how she's, like, imparting her wisdom to this girl, and it's just like, your mother shouldn't be this hard on you.
I know, it's like a sage monk or something.
It's so good.
It's another example of, like, how could you possibly say that in a more concise and meaningful way? You just can't. It's just perfect.
So then they cut back to Digby, who's Burke DeClare's dad. And I like Alex just says the line, the first guy I ever met from out here from back home. And you get a lot from that line, kind of like I said earlier. It just, I feel like, you know, he doesn't talk about his home life a lot, so you feel like it's not that important to him. But I feel like in that line, there's just so much that he's like it almost makes me think that he's a little homesick.
Or that he doesn't feel like Seattle is his home yet.
Yes.
So there's that.
Yeah. And then we go to the best scene, possibly, of the entire episode.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. I mean, this is the best. This is classic Meredith and classic Izzy in a scene together, and it's just perfect. Like, Izzy's baking, first of all, and she goes, baked it chock full of love. Actually, chock full of unrelenting, all-consuming rage and hostility, but still tasty.
It's so funny. And then I also like, because we'll finally get a little bit of Izzy's background, too, because, you know, she's talking about, because Meredith asked her to cut her some slack, and then Izzy's like, no, like, you went to this great school, your mom is, like, a huge surgeon.
So do that, cut me some slack.
Cut me some slack here.
No, you went to Dartmouth. Your mother is Ellis Gray. You grew up, look at this house. You know, you walk in the OR and isn't anyone who doubts that you should be there. I grew up in a trailer park. I went to state school. I put myself through medical school by posing in my underwear. You know, I walk in the OR and everyone hopes I'm the nurse. You have their respect without even trying, and you're throwing it away. For what? A few good surgeries?
Such a good line. You just get that, you know, even though she's so positive and peppy, like, she struggled to get where she is.
Yeah, she sees straight through it.
Oh, yeah.
And she says, I mean, Meredith, what the hell are you doing?
And then the eye roll.
Yeah, Meredith does the mother of all eye rolls. I mean, she probably saw her brain when she did this eye roll.
And then I just freaking love, oh my god, you're falling for him.
Hummingbird by Wilco comes on. I am not.
Oh, you so are.
No, I'm not.
You so are. Damn it, you poor girl.
You know, it's just that he's just so, and I'm having a hard time.
Wow, you're all mushy and warm and full of secret feelings.
I hate you and your cake.
My cake's good. So, how hot is the sex?
Izzy.
What? Come on. I'm not getting any. Help a girl out with a few details. Like, I just love this whole scene.
So many things.
It's just great. They just have such good chemistry between the two.
I mean, 1, Izzy gets over it and doesn't cause an immature amount of drama, which is good. Yeah. 2, Izzy is baking. 3, rare Izzy and Meredith scene. 4, Izzy's backstory. And 5, Izzy finally calling out Meredith on her crap. And, like, admitting that she does have an advantage. Ellis Gray does give her an advantage, whether she likes it or not. It is a reality.
So then we cut back over. Alex is, like, working out in some rowing machine. He, like, gets pissed off.
Looks like another locker room.
He, like, chucks the, like, handle thing. And then we cut to Jamie. She's so cute. She's like, Pooh. So cute. Like Winnie the Pooh.
Yeah. Not referring to Mrs. Rice.
Oh. And then you have Burke, who is so adorable. He walks into the on-call room. He is bringing Cristina soup.
I know.
Like, he is so adorable. But she's not there, because then we cut over. And I have a question about this scene. Because we see her in the bathroom looking at a pregnancy test. Do they actually ever show the positive test, or are we just supposed to infer it from her face?
I mean, I don't think they ever showed it.
Like, because normally, like, on some, they'll, like, oh, like, the little plus or something. Like,
we're supposed to infer it from her face,
because,
which is a good choice. I liked that.
I kind of, because, I mean, unless you've seen the episode, I mean, spoiler alert, she's pregnant, but unless you've seen, like, it leaves it in kind of that ambiguous place where you're like, I think she's pregnant, but, like, because she's not like, oh my god, like it's just that face of, like, complete shock and utter disbelief. Like, I don't know, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's cool. It's cool that they don't, like, show like the plus, you know. So then we cut to Meredith and Derek getting ready or about to get in bed, and I'm like, why is he here?
Because they're all together now.
I guess that they're a couple now. Like, would you think that they're a couple?
Yeah, sure.
guess.
And then they finally decide to sleep.
He's like, we could just sleep.
Oh, thank
if
God.
you want to. It's like, yeah, we know you're tired, Derek. We got it.
The first time you said it. So we have Meredith's closing voiceover. Maybe we like the pain. Maybe we're wired that way. Because without it, I don't know. Maybe we just wouldn't feel real. What's that saying? Why do I keep hitting myself with a hammer? Because it feels so good when I stop.
Nice. Seriously count is 6.
It's high. This episode was high.
This is the highest one so far. All right, patient rankings. I have 4, you have 4. Perfect. So my number 4 is JP.
Yeah, which is like, they added a good, like, mine was JP as well. They added a good comic relief to the thing, but again, no real, like, character growth or anything from it. It was just kind of for comedy.
Yeah, and it was one of my favorite things about the episode, but still, it was just
still
for
a great patient. But
number 3, I had Claire, and I put her lower than I think you would expect, just because it's like, yes, Meredith did have character growth with this, but it was in the same way that it was Jorge, and in the same way that Mr. Levangie, and to be honest, she is just not a character or a patient that I look forward to when I rewatch episodes. Probably because her mom is such an asshole.
See, I put Claire second. And to me, it was almost a little bit different. I mean, I get how it's kind of the same with Mr. Levangie, but it's, like, this is almost giving you the sense of Meredith and Ellis's relationship before the Alzheimer's, which with the other 2 patients, I feel like it was mostly focused on the side of, like, when she has Alzheimer's, like, so now in the present. But this, you almost get her that sense of, it's not the Meredith being angry at her mother for choices. It's Meredith being like, I used to look up to my mom too. So that was why I had her second.
Yeah.
But okay. So anyway, my third was Digby. I liked him just because, you get a lot from Alex in this.
Yeah, we finally get some Alex background. He was my number 2, and it was just because we finally got something from Alex. I mean, we got a little bit with Annie, but it was almost fake because he was, like, pretending for a lot of it.
This is, like, real. But
this is
feeling.
This is legit. This is real. This is, like, way back from home. And so our number 1 is the same.
Jamie. Well, I feel like this is the first, you get character development of Derek in finally a different way than all the other episodes, which is what I really, like, you see him in that kind of fatherly, like, responsible role, and I like that. Plus you get George with it,
we get to see George with a little bit of a backbone, which is nice.
Yeah, which is really cool. I liked that. So, make one change.
I literally don't.
Yeah, I was about to say, we both kind of said in the beginning we don't really have anything. Maybe we'll just cut that part out, since I feel like the last couple of episodes we haven't had any changes.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we should save it for later, like, when the show actually sucks. So, I did a little thing. I took the personality test to see what my ocean score is. So, just, for fun, I was high in openness and high in neuroticism, and I was low in conscientiousness, low in agreeableness, and average in extroversion. So that basically means that I am, it says high in openness, I'm imaginative and creative.
Yes.
High in neuroticism means that I kind of get bored with everyday routine life.
Yep.
People see me as emotionally aware.
Yep.
I'm low in conscientiousness, so that means that indicates that you live for the moment.
Yep.
And you do what feels good.
Yep.
You sometimes appear disorganized, but others love your energy.
Yep.
Low in agreeableness, but I was low in that.
Yeah, you're not agreeable. Ugh.
I was low and conscientious. I guess I don't live for the moment.
Oh. Oh, wait, I thought you were reading the sign of what it was low meant.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Whoa. Can I still blame it on the concussion? Anyway, low in agreeableness. This indicates that you feel people should be self-reliant. People tend to see you as tough and committed.
Yeah.
And then I'm average in extroversion, which means that I'm like the typical person. I enjoy time with others, but I also need alone time. Mm-hmm. So yeah, that was my score. Cool. So now all you listeners know a lot about me.
Yeah, I didn't take it.
Well, you can take it another time. Do you have anything that you...
I don't know. I feel like we covered this episode really well.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a good episode.
If you like the podcast, as always, please go rate and review us on iTunes. If you want to get in touch with us, you can tweet at us. I'm at hazard_Emily, hazard with 2 Z's. Becca is at Anderson_Becca. That's Anderson with an E, not an O. Mm-hmm. And we also have a separate account for the podcast, which is at Grey's Uncut. If you have a longer comment or question, you can send it to our email, which is greysanatomy_uncut@gmail.com. And let me just see.
Oh, next episode.
Yeah, next week.
It's called...
Save
Me.
Yeah. And it's written by Mimi Schmier, I think. That's how you would say that. And directed by Sarah Pia Anderson. That's Anderson with an O, though, so... But I am really excited about this one.
Yeah.
I love this episode coming up. Like, I know I say I love all of them, but this is probably my favorite episode of season 1 coming up. So, cool. I'm pumped.
Looking forward to it.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.